How are you? Got your tea? So I have my grandmother's teacup. Do you guys recognize this? So this is Desert Rose, I believe it is. And we have to have a sip. I love it. I love that you're joining me for tea because here's the thing. A ton of stuff has been canceled, but fun hasn't been canceled, right? And sharing hasn't been canceled. We can share online. And of course, genealogy has not been canceled. So that's why we're here. And one of the things I've been trying to do during this time of kind of self-quarantine is trying to stretch myself and take on something new that I haven't done before. And one of the things I've been doing this last week is learning to play the guitar. So I've been using YouTube to do that. But there's also, gosh, I think I did a Facebook Live about 3 years ago, and I haven't done one since. And there's software and things that you have to use, and it's all stretching me very big. So I'm really excited to be here and doing this here and having you with me and supporting me. And I want to support you. I want to support you in your genealogy research, in your time at home with your family. And that's what this is all about. So, and here's this other thing. I am here to protect you. So I've been doing public service announcements, okay? Have you seen my public service announcements on Instagram? Take a deep breath. I understand that you're bored, but do not cut your own bangs, my friends, okay? Just don't. You don't need to. Let's do genealogy instead. I'm waiting for the hair color to wear off. I don't know. I think we're all going to be going gray here very quickly. But today we are going to have a lot of fun. I want to share some tips with you. I know that we're spending a lot more time online and we're doing a lot more genealogy research. And so I have a couple of tips and tricks for you from a class that I've yet to publish online. I've given it a couple of times, and I think that you're going to love these tools. It's going to make life just a little easier and a little more efficient when you're online doing your family history research. Now, you may be wondering, where did I get the idea for Elevenses? Okay, and I think that's how you say it, Elevenses. So if you're in the US, you may not have heard that phrase before, but I know I have lots and lots of friends in the UK and Australia and Canada. You guys know what Elevenses is, right? So Elevenses is at 11 o'clock in the morning, you stop and you take a break. You're home, you can make some tea, you can use grandma's china. I hope you're using grandma's china. I've talked to so many people who say, oh, I have my grandmother's, my mother's. I never use them, I never touch them, nobody wants to use them. Today we're going to use grandma's china. In fact, can you see grandma's teapot behind me? Right? There it is. So I became aware of Elevenses through a passion for British television, and it's my absolute number one favorite show, which I have been binge watching since the self-quarantine occurred, and it's called Good Neighbors. So Good Neighbors was done back in the 70s, and this show was adorable. There were two couples, they were living side by side, and the Goods are on the left there. And they lived next door to the Ledbetters, and the Goods decided they were going to get away from it all, quit their day jobs, and they were going to be self-sufficient on their own property. And I'll never forget the episode where Barbara calls Tom in from the garden. And of course, they're up at the crack of dawn, being self-sufficient. And she says, Tom, it's 9 o'clock, Elevenses, because their day started so early. So I try to do Elevenses around here whenever I can and just take a break from everything that we're doing and kind of enjoy the day and reconnect with people. So that's kind of where the idea came from. And Good Neighbors, I still think, is an incredibly fun and relevant TV show. So if you want to check it out, I know it's on DVD because I have all the DVDs. I've had them for years. But Netflix, I think you can stream it on Netflix as well. And PBS, most PBS stations at some point rotate it through again and show the whole series. In fact, our local Dallas-Fort Worth station just completed that session. So let's see here. So we're using Grandma's China. I've been checking out the news and kind of just trying to see what's going on. So here's one of the things I saw. This is my notes. I'm so nervous, you guys. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you're here. Okay, so yesterday, did you see the news that Prince Charles has coronavirus? Oh my gosh. But if you think about it, I mean, they shake every single hand in the universe. So can you imagine being a royal and you have to shake everybody's hand? So our best wishes to Prince Charles, to everybody around the globe who's dealing with this. And it's interesting because I think we're all dealing with it in our own ways. Hopefully you're not ill or no one that you love is ill, although that's happening. But everybody is sacrificing and helping each other. And I know in our neighborhood, it's been amazing to watch. And self-distancing is hard. It hasn't been that long, you guys, right? But I don't know. I'm already feeling it. Are you feeling it? It's hard to be apart. Probably the number one thing that's killing me is being away from my grandkids. But we're FaceTiming and we're doing all kinds of stuff to try to stay connected. Thank goodness I have a guy that I really, really like who lives at my house, Bill, my husband. He's awesome. So I'm lucky to be spending time with him. Some of the other things I'm doing, and maybe these are ideas that you'll enjoy. You could watch Good Neighbors. But I'm rereading Mama's Bank Account. My favorite movie, okay, so you heard my favorite TV show. My favorite movie is I Remember Mama from the 1940s with Irene Dunn. And Mama's Bank Account was by Catherine Forbes. And this was the book that started that movie and the whole TV series. It was very popular. It's a super easy read, but it's really heartwarming and kind of a really super nice break to all the news. So that's nice. I finally finished a Bible study that I was way behind on. So it's like, okay, you have time on your hands. You need to finish the last chapter. I did finish the last chapter. It was on the story of Joseph. And it was really, I loved it for two reasons. One, it reminds you about that God has a plan. And at least it reminded me of that there's absolutely a plan. The plan never stops. We're part of it. And that actually, my friends, ties into genealogy. If you think about when I was reading the Bible, I mean, my gosh, right out of the gate, they're talking genealogy. And genealogy is about connection. And truly, it's about the plan that we are all absolutely part of, at least in my humble opinion. So I'm really happy to have finished that. Like I said, I'm starting to learn the guitar. So that has been a lot of fun. And of course, I took on the toughest song you can possibly take on, which has been in my heart's desire since I was a kid. Have you thought about what was in your heart's desire? Let's say, picture yourself when you're 8 years old or 10 years old. What did you want to do? I wanted to be able to play the introduction to Crazy on You by heart. Okay, so now you know my deepest, darkest desires. I really wanted to be able to do that. And I sort of learned parts of it wrong, so I'm relearning. But it's super hard. And Bill walks in and he's like, what are you doing to yourself? But anyway, if you guys have heard Crazy on You, you know what I'm talking about. I have been FaceTiming the kids. Oh, I licked my finger. Are you finding it so hard not to touch your face? Oh my gosh, so hard not to touch your face. And don't touch your bangs. Remember that. Okay, don't touch your bangs. Fixing minor things. So the other thing before we talk about our genealogy tips is that I have been walking around the house and looking at what are the things I'm always noticing when I have no time that I wanted to fix, wanted to move, wanted to change. And I've been running around and hiding, the cords behind the TV and doing all these things that have bugged me and I never have time to do. So that's something that you could do. Take 20 minutes and walk around your house and look at what are those things that have been nagging at you. This is your chance, okay? I want to talk about some genealogy news because there's a couple of really cool things I think you'll want to know about. One, myheritage. So you can remember the colorization that came out? You can literally just drag and drop your photograph on the website and it will colorize it for you. It's really cool. Normally, when you have a free account, you can do about 10 of these, but with everything that's going on, they have absolutely done a wonderful thing for the whole community, and that is to, if you don't have a complete subscription, I should say, you can do 10. If you have a complete subscription, you can do as many as you want. But right now, myheritage has made it available to everyone. Just go for it. It's unlimited. Go for it. Colorize your pictures. This is the time. You don't even have to have a complete subscription to do it. I don't know how long that's going to last, so I would say put that on the top of your to-do list. I have, but I have a subscription, so I get to do that all the time. But that's a really, really cool thing. Thank you to myheritage for doing that for the community. Okay, so Ancestry also reached out, I think this was yesterday, and they said free access to search. I'm going to read this to you. I'm looking down to read this to you to make sure I get it right. Access to search nearly 500 million records. So the U.S. National Archives and Records Administration has teamed up with its long-term digitization partner, Ancestry, to provide free access to search nearly 500 million records and images on Ancestry starting yesterday. Exploring the records is completely free. All you have to do, if you don't currently have an Ancestry account, is to create an account by entering your email to start your search. And of course, I assume that means if you've already got an account, but maybe it's expired, maybe you have it lapsed, I think you can still go in and do this. It says the almost 500 million digitized and searchable records being made available to all for free are comprised of nearly 300 different collections. I mean, this is an amazing treasure trove. I think it's definitely worth our time. So what kinds of stuff does it include? World War I and World War II draft cards. You guys, you have to love these. I mean, you've got the name of the spouse, you've got parents, you've got addresses, where they work. There's so much unique information on draft cards. I love them. The New York passenger and crew list from 1820 to 1957. Okay, so that's going to affect a lot of us. California Federal Naturalization Records. I didn't read this before. I have to look. My great-grandparents naturalized in California. Okay, so this is between 1843 and 1999. So if you have anybody who naturalized in California, I do, you can go check those out. U.S. passport applications. We did an article about that at Genealogy Gems. And so you might want to check that out. These cover 1795 to 1925. Here's my tip for the passport applications that you find on Ancestry. You've got to look to the next page and the next page. Keep turning pages till you get to the next person. Many times they were double-sided. And here's the thing. On the back side, oftentimes you're going to see a photo as well. So, and if you're not sure, and if you don't know who you have, look up Mary Pickford. She had a passport application in that database. And of course, she was a very famous silent film star. And make sure you check the next page. Kind of like when you work with the census. You're not going to look at the census and not look at the page that came before and the page that came after, right? You want to see the whole kit and caboodle. Make sure you don't miss anybody, any extra people on the next page in the family. Also, it includes compiled Revolutionary War military service records from 1775 to 1783, Confederate soldier compiled service records, and border crossings. Okay, so the border crossings was a huge collection for us because Bill just walked in. Say hi, Bill.
Hi.
His grandfather came in 1912 from England to Canada, and then he would cross the border back and forth to Wisconsin because that's where his dear wife-to-be lived. Okay, so that's some of the latest and greatest news. You got lots of fun things that you get to do after we finish our time together. Sip. All right, that's our Elevenses. So I mentioned to you that I had a couple of ideas about ways that you could be a little more efficient, have a little more fun on your online work. Here, when you come to genealogygems.com, you can click articles. You'll see all the latest articles, and the most recent one will be the one at the top on the left-hand side. And of course, I put here that there is an article about MyHeritage doing the free colorization, so you want to check that out. The one prior to that on March 21st was how to find your family history on YouTube in 5 steps. And I hope you've had a chance to look at this. This would be a super fun project while you're home, uninterrupted, close the door, tell everybody to leave you alone for 2 hours, and have some fun with YouTube, because there's amazing stuff out there. I promise you, I think everybody can find something. And these 5 easy steps is going to make it possible. So just scroll down, follow along step by step. I'll even show you some fantastic examples of the kinds of videos that people have found for family history, which will knock your socks off. And I know if you got a chance to watch the recent Google search methodology class that I made available for free to everybody last weekend. It's also part of premium membership now, so premium members can go and watch that anytime. We had some really exciting examples of YouTube finds there. So when you follow along the search plan, one of the things that I mention in this article is about using tabs. When I'm searching, I oftentimes will run my search in individual tabs. So the idea here is, if you're going to be searching on YouTube, and if you're signed into your Google account, you're going to have a history, but that's kind of, a pain to dig into in the My Activity search history. While I'm actively involved in a search, I open a new tab every time I'm going to run a new search, particularly on the same topic. And the reason for that is so that you can do kind of some side-by-side comparisons. And go for it. Tabs are free. You can have 20 tabs open. You can have 100 tabs open. It doesn't matter. But if you're running the same search, you're going to want to try variations of it, which is what we talk about in that article. So the nice thing is that you don't lose track of where you've been. Let's say you run 3 different tabs worth of searches, and you realize, that second one was really the winner. You want to be able just to go back to that tab, and you're right where you left off. Okay, and it's super efficient and helpful in terms of working with your searching on YouTube, or really any kind of searching. In fact, when I'm working on Ancestry, like as you're going through these new collections that are going to be available for you now to work with from the National Archives and from Ancestry, when you find a link, you can right-click on it and open that link in a new tab. And that is a really cool way to kind of, again, create a breadcrumb trail for yourself. You end up with many tabs open, showing yourself along the search path so that you can jump back and forth. Okay, so what is all this tabbing? How can we improve upon this using our tabs? I want to show you a really cool extension that you can use with Chrome. Google, their web browser is Chrome. There are other great web browsers, but I love using Chrome for search, one, because of some of the really fantastic extensions that they have. I also can customize my new tab, which there is an article on Genealogy Gems about doing that. There's also, that's included in the new book, The Genealogist Google Toolbox. So the thing is that you can add extensions, and there's one called Snooze Tabby. And I want to show that to you because this is really cool. It's absolutely free. So we're going to go to the Chrome Web Store. Just Google it, Chrome Web Store, and search Snooze Tabby. See it here? And you just click the install box, and you're going to say, yeah, let's add an extension. Now, as you're working with tabs, have you ever found that the day comes to an end too quickly and you're not done? You want to be able to go back to this, but you don't want to leave a zillion tabs open. You can snooze tabs. So when you get to the page, you're going to look up in the browser, but what you're looking for is a half moon icon, like on an outhouse. And when you click the little half moon icon that's installed on your web browser, you can pick the date and say, snooze this tab until that date. And we're going to go to my website and say, let's snooze this. So in the browser bar, we are going to click the half moon icon, which is Snooze Tabby. It's up in the upper right-hand corner. And I'm going to say, just later today, because I find when I have a bunch of tabs open, but it turns out I got to go do something else. I got to publish a podcast episode or something. It's kind of distracting. I get a lot of, distraction and BSO, bright, shiny object syndrome. And so I want to keep going back to these things. You can snooze them. They'll disappear. Okay, but they're not gone. If you click the icon again, you'll see snoozed list. You can just click snoozed list and it will show you all the tabs you've snoozed. So I might say, oh my gosh, I found something today, but really I am not going to have time until next Saturday. I can say, I want it to be next Saturday at 10 a.m. I want this tab to pop right back up into my web browser. And it does. It's kind of like an alarm clock, which is really pretty cool. So think about this as a way to kind of manage your work and help reduce the noise that's coming at you, particularly when you're doing your genealogy research. I find, when I'm publishing podcast episodes or working on my book or something, having my Gmail tab open, which I almost always have open, is so distracting. I keep wanting to go back and look at it or feeling like I need to, or maybe I'm missing something. Snooze it. Just use it with the Snooze Tabby and you can snooze tabs. And you can snooze a lot of different tabs and you can set them for all different times. And remember, they're never gone because when you click the icon, you get the snooze list, you can see, and you can retrieve them back at any time you want. Now, as I said, these ideas come from a class, How Alice the Genealogist Avoids Falling Down the Rabbit Hole. Can you identify with this? I think maybe you can. So I want to show you one more little tip from that class. Okay, so here's another trick. When you close a tab and you do it by chance inadvertently too quickly, you can right click on that little tiny tab piece and say reopen the tab. Pretty handy, isn't it? How many times have you closed a tab working on a record and gone, oh, wait, I didn't want to lose that. You can right click on that and reveal it. You can also do Control, Shift, and T, like tab. So when you're working and you closed a tab inadvertently just a little too soon, or that's the one you realized was the right record or the right video or whatever it was you were looking for, you can do Control, Shift, and T, and that's going to pop that tab. In fact, Lacey taught me this, my daughter Lacey. She says, Mom, you can do these in the order going back in time. So let's say the last 5 tabs I closed, I realized, oh, I was on the right track. That was the right person I was researching. I just do Control Shift T, and it just reopens them back, going back in time in the order in which you used them. So I hope, my friends, this is going to come in really handy because tab management is one of the ways that you can manage your genealogy research while you're working online. And you can make sure that you don't lose stuff and that you're also not too sidetracked, falling down rabbit holes. Okay. So here's my to-do list for you. First of all, if you like those kinds of ideas and you'd be interested in seeing that class, How Alice the Genealogist Avoids Falling Down the Rabbit Hole, then leave a comment under this Facebook Live video. I want to hear from you. I do have more time. I'm home all the time now, just like you are. We got such an amazing response to last weekend's free video class that I'd love to do something like that again. And I'd love to do it with a video that I haven't published yet. We could even do it maybe as a live webinar. So if you like that idea, go down to the comments and leave me a comment and let me know if you're interested in that and other organizational techniques, ways to be more organized in your research. And that class is chock full of them. Also, if there's other topics that are really of interest to you, is there something that's kind of burning on your plate and you're thinking, I really want to get into that now. I've been thinking about it, but I put it off, but I'd love some hand-holding, some direction. I'd love to be that person to handhold with you. So leave some topic ideas down in the comments as well. Also on your to-do list is to, if you haven't yet already, read the YouTube article that I wrote, those 5 easy steps to finding your family history on YouTube. I promise you're going to find something that will help with your research, whether it's a video actually of your ancestors, or if it's a documentary that explains some of the history of the time frame or the place where that they lived. We have so many different amazing examples of ways that are surprising, of videos that you can find. There is so much historical film footage now on YouTube that you don't want to miss this. And if you missed that article, or you think, well, how do I know every day when she's going to publish a new article or a new video? The way to know is to be on the Genealogy Gems newsletter list. And that's how you may have heard about this Facebook Live. But go to the homepage, genealogygems.com, and you can click and subscribe there to the free newsletter. And that comes out about once a week. Then on your to-do list also is installing Snooze Tabby, because that's going to come in really handy when you need it. And remember, practice Control-Shift-T. So play with your tabs and do that. And most importantly, get Grandma's china out if you have it. It's interesting. I have this desert rose. I have a whole set of amber 1930s depression glass. I have a set of my mom's china. I have a set from each of my grandmothers. And it's funny, sometimes our kids aren't that interested in using china. That's not really the thing these days, is to sit down and have a fancy tea or dinner. But I am determined to start using it, start making days special. And when family comes over, I make sure I use one of those sets. And at some point, share with the family, not just that this is Grandma's china, but maybe a story about the family. This time at home, when we're all together, and hopefully we'll be out and about very soon. But this is really kind of a neat opportunity to share those stories. And one of the things I have found in my own family, and you've probably heard as well, which is that sharing hardships and trials from our family history is so key to our children's and our grandchildren's well-being. Helping them know you're not the first person to have something go terribly wrong or to be really hard. And people always come out on the other side. We survive it and we get sharpened by it. We get to be, our lives are improved and we learn things and get more insight. My goal in life is if I could just get a little wiser before the end of all this, I'll be in good shape. And I think sharing this with our kids and our grandkids really helps them realize they are connected, they are not alone, and we can do this. So let me see here. What else have I got on my list? I don't want to forget anything I was going to tell you. I think that's about it. We spent about a half an hour together, and let me see if I can. I've had so much fun, using this software to help show you stuff on my screen. I hope it came across on the other end. If you enjoyed this, if you'd like to see another Elevenses with Lisa, leave a comment also in the comments. I want to thank you for joining me here today, because it's been lonely here too. I think I got out in the car for the first time yesterday since all this happened. Bill took me to the post office. Woohoo! Woohoo, baby! Went to the post office. And we stood 6 feet apart and didn't open the door with our hands. But, stay safe, my friends. Stay encouraging. When you feel down and you feel a little lonely or discouraged, that's the time. Go reach out to somebody else and give them a hug if they're in your house and you're allowed. But send them a virtual hug. I hope this has been a virtual hug to you. And again, thank you so much for joining me, my friends, and I will talk to you soon.